On the 1st of December 2019, a man in his 70s fell ill. He was admitted to a hospital in Wuhan. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, by December the 11th, up to 200 people were likely infected with the coronavirus. 3 weeks after the first illnesses emerged, doctors at Wuhan Central Hospital took a sample from a patient's lungs. They sent it to Vision Medicals. Within 48 hours, the company had come up with a short genetic sequence of the virus.
The person who did the analysis basically sent a red light flash to the boss of the company. And the boss says, this is serious. Don't send the report out until you're 100% sure. And a few hours later, basically says, I'm 100% sure. This is real.
So the sequence of a pathogen is really important because that is what allows people to figure out how quickly the pathogen is spreading and to be able to create tests for health authorities in other countries to start detecting this virus.
The Wuhan Health Commission continued to reassure the public that the outbreak was under control. Wuhan's 11 million people were still going about their lives as normal, spreading the virus around the city and to the rest of China. At 2 a.m. on January the 5th, Shanghai virologist Zhang Yongzhen obtained the full genetic sequence of the virus. That day, Zhang's office wrote to the National Health Commission he wanted to make the sequence public right away, but couldn't. The National Health Commission had sent out secret instructions to laboratories, forbidding them from publishing their results without authorization and requiring them to destroy or hand over their samples.
It effectively silenced individual scientists and laboratories from talking about this outbreak, from revealing information about this virus, and potentially allowing word of it to leak out to the outside world and alarm people.
The WHO was now getting critical information from the media, not from the Chinese government. The emergency's chief, Mike Ryan, had a series of meetings with colleagues to discuss the mounting crisis.
Where China can make a huge contribution to the world right now is the immediate sharing of the genetic sequences and primers with other countries. But unless they share that information and knowledge with others, it will certainly mean that other countries are going to have to reinvent the wheel over the coming days.
If the government knows about a novel infection that meets the criteria within the international health regulations, and a novel coronavirus, by definition, meets those criteria, the government is obliged by law to report that to the World Health Organization within 24 hours. The failure to report clearly was a violation of the international health regulations. Once you report to WHO, it's open to the world. You start to get travel and trade restrictions placed upon you. And so I think China's view was that it wanted to handle this. It didn't want outside interference.
5 days had passed since Zhang Yongzhen had obtained the full genetic sequence of the virus. By now, Chinese state media had announced it was a novel coronavirus. But Zhang was still prohibited from publishing his data.
At that point, it seemed absolutely ridiculous that we couldn't release the data. I said that we need to release it. It's now or never. We have to do this. And he said, okay. So he sends me this email with a file of the sequencing. My hands were I remember I was sort of shaking as I was pressing the button. So then we posted it on Virological, and I put a tweet out saying, here's the first genome sequence. I just felt the weight of pressure just to get this out there.
The release of the sequence forced Beijing's hand. The next day, state scientists released the 5 sequences they had obtained several days earlier. The international community was now able to act. On the 13th of January, German scientists published a toolkit for a test, so other countries could check for cases. By allowing the sequence to be published, Zhang had defied an official government order. The next day, his lab was temporarily suspended for rectification. In the official Chinese narrative of the fight against COVID, Zhang's name does not appear.
I don't think it's clear right now exactly how history is going to view this pandemic. It might have been a case where it was already too late by the time we realized that this virus was spreading. But I think what we can say, based on what we know right now, it's clear that there were mistakes that were made, there were clear delays, and many people did suffer the consequences.